Texas City, the boomtown on the bay. The year is 1947. America is emerging from the shadow of World War II, triumphant and full of hope. On the shores of Galveston Bay, Texas City is a bustling hub of industry, its port bustling with activity. The war effort had transformed this sleepy town into a vital cog in America's industrial machine. Shipyards hummed, refineries roared, and the docks teemed with workers loading and unloading cargo from all corners of the globe. Texas City was a town on the rise, its future bright with promise. The war's end had not diminished the city's importance. On the contrary, the demand for goods and materials in a world rebuilding from conflict meant that Texas City's star continued to ascend. The men and women who called this place home were proud of their contribution to the nation's prosperity. They worked hard, played hard, and looked to the future with optimism. Little did they know that fate had a cruel twist in store, an event so catastrophic that it would forever etch April 16, 1947, into the annals of history. A harbor of hope and danger. Among the many vessels that frequented Texas City's harbor was the SS Grandcamp, a Liberty ship, a veteran of countless wartime voyages. On this spring day, her holds were laden with a seemingly innocuous cargo ammonium nitrate fertilizer. Destined for war-ravaged Europe, the fertilizer was intended to help replenish fields left barren by years of conflict. However, this seemingly benign substance harbored a deadly secret. Ammonium nitrate, under the right conditions, could transform from a humble fertilizer into a terrifyingly potent explosive. The SS Grandcamp was a symbol of hope, carrying the promise of renewal to a continent struggling to rebuild. Yet, unknown to the dock workers who loaded her holds, she was also a ticking time bomb, a floating powder keg that would soon unleash a disaster of unimaginable proportions. The stage was set for a tragedy that would test the limits of human resilience and forever change the face of Texas City. Smoke on the water. The morning of April 16th dawned clear and bright in Texas City. The air was thick with the sounds of industry as workers streamed into the docks, ready for another day of toil. Aboard the SS Grandcamp, however, something was amiss. Smoke was spotted curling out from the hold where the ammonium nitrate was stored. The alarm was raised and a sense of urgency gripped the ship and those on the dock nearby. Frantic efforts were made to contain the fire. Fire hoses were trained on the rising smoke, but the water seemed to have little effect. The heat intensified within the ship's hold, and the situation grew increasingly desperate. The crew of the Grandcamp battled valiantly, but they were fighting a losing battle against an invisible and unforgiving enemy. Unknown to them, the fate of their ship and the city itself hung precariously in the balance as the fire in the hold raged out of control. Inferno unleashed. At 9:12 a.m., the seemingly inevitable occurred. The intense heat within the Grandcamp's hold reached a critical point, igniting the ammonium nitrate in a deafening roar. The force of the explosion was unimaginable, sending a colossal mushroom cloud thousands of feet into the air. The shockwave rippled outward with terrifying speed, instantly obliterating everything in its immediate vicinity. The Grandcamp, once a symbol of hope, was instantly vaporized, reduced to a scattering of debris that rained down upon the stunned city. The dock where she had been moored ceased to exist, swallowed whole by the earth in a scene of unimaginable violence. The initial blast was so powerful that it was felt as far away as Louisiana, a terrifying testament to the destructive power unleashed that spring morning. The explosion that consumed the SS Grandcamp was just the beginning of Texas City's nightmare. The blast triggered a chain reaction, setting off fires and secondary explosions across the city's industrial complex. Warehouses packed with flammable materials ignited like tinderboxes, sending plumes of thick black smoke billowing into the sky. The air itself seemed to be on fire, thick with the acrid stench of burning chemicals and the cries of the injured and dying. Buildings miles from the initial blast were reduced to rubble, their foundations cracked and crumbled by the sheer force of the explosion. Windows shattered, roofs caved in, and walls collapsed, burying countless souls beneath tons of debris. The bustling heart of Texas City was transformed into a smoldering ruin, a nightmarish landscape of twisted metal and shattered concrete. The Monsanto Chemical Company plant, located near the docks, became engulfed in the spreading inferno. Chemicals stored within the plant ignited, triggering a series of explosions that shook the ground with the fury of an earthquake. A chain reaction had been set in motion, an unstoppable cascade of destruction that swept through the city's industrial heartland. The waterfront, once a hive of activity, was now an inferno, a scene of unimaginable chaos and destruction. Ships were tossed about like toys in a bathtub, their hulls breached, and their masts snapped like twigs. The air was thick with flying debris, metal shards, chunks of concrete, and the burning embers of what were once homes and businesses. As the dust settled and the flames gradually began to subside, the true scale of the disaster became horrifyingly clear. The Texas City disaster, as it would come to be known, was one of the worst industrial accidents in American history. The official death toll was a staggering 581, but the true number of lives lost may never be known. Over 1,700 people were injured, many with horrific burns and injuries that would leave them scarred both physically and emotionally for the rest of their days. Hundreds more were missing, their bodies never recovered from the tangled wreckage of the city. The heart of Texas City had been ripped out, leaving a gaping wound that would take generations to heal. In the wake of the disaster, a spirit of resilience and compassion emerged from the ruins. Rescue workers, many of them volunteers, toiled tirelessly amidst the wreckage, searching for survivors and tending to the injured. Doctors and nurses worked around the clock, their skills pushed to the limit by the sheer number of casualties. Donations poured in from across the country as Americans opened their hearts and their wallets to help the devastated city. The road to recovery would be long and arduous, but the people of Texas City were determined to rebuild their lives and their community. The Texas City disaster left an indelible mark on the city and its people. The physical scars of that fateful day may have faded with time, but the emotional scars lingered on. The disaster served as a stark reminder of the destructive power of industrial accidents and the importance of safety regulations. Today, Texas City stands as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The city has rebuilt and thrived, but the memory of the 1947 disaster serves as a constant reminder of the importance of vigilance, preparedness, and the preciousness of life. The events of April 16, 1947, are etched into the soul of Texas City, a solemn reminder of the day the world shook and a city burned.